So I would like to visit again the square pyramid explanation that I did earlier during class, because I feel like toward the end I had to rush it a little. So I don't want to just walk you through it. I want to explain that, okay, we have to find the height. What do we know? All the edges have the same length. So by using the Pythagorean theorem, and by using the slant height, we can find the height. In this case, it's KO. But I want to find the formula for the height, okay? Because once we have a formula, then any edge value, specific edge value that I have, we can use the formula and you're done. The work will take 10 seconds. So let's work hard. Let's use the algebra to figure out what the formula is for KO if we know the side lengths. So let's begin with the plan. The first thing we need to do is let's find a formula for the slant height. So that is this guy right here. It starts at the apex, which is at K, and it meets at the midpoint of AB. Okay, and let's call the midpoint of AB M. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this A here. That represents the distance of AB, which is A. So we have the midpoint here, M. Okay. Okay, and now just to make it a little bit more obvious what's going on in this triangle, I want to blow this up. I want to put it front and center. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we have the triangle. We have K, AB, and then we have the slant height of KM. Now remember, according to the problem, all the edges had length of A, so this is A. This whole thing here is A, thus this is A over 2. Now we have enough information to find this distance. We can use the Pythagorean theorem, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's call this S for the slant height. And now let's create our equation. So we have S squared plus A over 2 squared equals A squared. And now just be strong in your algebra skills. So we have S squared plus A squared over 4 equals A squared. Okay, then we subtract A squared over 4 from both sides, and we get S squared equals A squared 3/4. Ooh, that's an ugly 3. 3/4 A squared. And now the final thing that we need to do is, of course, we gotta take the square root of both sides. So take the square roots. Let's do that a little bit nicer. So square roots and square roots. All right. Then we get S equals A times square root of 3 all over 2. So that is the slant height. Okay, so now we know the distance from K to M. We need to find KO. So we're going to use triangle KOM to figure out the height. So we're going to use this triangle here. All we need to figure out is OM. But actually, we know what OM is. If you think about it, OM is exactly half of dB. So OM is actually A over 2. So we figured out what KM is, the slant height. We did all that work. We know that OM is A over 2. We have enough information to find KO. So let's do that now. Okay, so step 2. Let's find the height using the triangle KOM. Alrighty, so we are using this triangle here. Okay. Alright. Let's keep going. Dropped my pen. Alright, so we have triangle KOM. And we know that KM, we did all that hard work to find it was A squared to 3 over 2. That is A over 2 OM, like we talked about before. And KO is our X. We don't know the value. So let's go ahead and use the Pythagorean theorem now here to find X. And we will have our formula for KO. So let's get that done. All right, let's practice our algebra now. So we have X squared plus A over 2 squared equals a root 3 all over 2. And we square this guy as well. Alright, and we get x squared plus a squared over 4 equals 3 a squared over 4. Okay, now you subtract a squared over 4 from both sides, and we are left with x squared equals 2a squared over 4, which is 1/2 a squared. And the final thing then we have to do is take the square root of both sides. So take the square root of a squared over 4, take the square root of that thing, and we get x equals a over root 4. Oopsie, oh, I made a mistake. So let's backtrack. A squared over 2. Then we take the square root, so x equals a over root 2. And if you want to rationalize the denominator, it's also equal to a square root of 2 over 2. So, as a result, the formula for KO, to find KO quickly, is just take whatever the edge value is, so our a in this case, and divide it by root 2. So, if the edge value is 10, then the height of the square pyramid is just going to be 10 divided by root 2. If the edge value is 100, 100 divided by root 2. That's the power of algebra. So we did all this hard work to show that given the x value, if it's a, all we need to do is divide by root 2 to find KO. So, again, that's the power of algebra. And yeah, it was a lot of work, but all we did was use the Pythagorean theorem twice, and we found the slant height, and then found the actual height KO. Now, I would like to challenge you as well to find a different way of solving for KO. And I will give you the hint. It uses the diagonal. So from K to D, using that diagonal there, okay, let's draw it a little bit neater. So using that diagonal and using this triangle that forms. So using KOA, is there a way to find KO using the diagonal and using the right triangle KOA? Good luck.